Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz Rewiński. India launched missile strikes on 9 targets in neighboring Pakistan and the Pakistan-administered region of Kashmir. According to local officials, at least 8 people died in the attacks and more than 30 have been wounded. The latest crisis has raised fears of escalation between the two nuclear-armed states. Officials in New Delhi said missiles struck the 9 sites in a, and I quote, focused, measured and non-escalatory manner. Reports of the strike were confirmed by the Pakistani authorities, who described the attack as, and I quote, cowardly. Officials in Islamabad added that the country will respond at a time and place of its choosing. According to Indian authorities, the attack took place in relation to alleged evidence pointing towards involvement of Pakistani-based terrorists in last month's militant strike in Pahalgam. Islamabad, however, has denied involvement in the attack. Tensions between the two countries, both of which possess nuclear weapons, have persisted since the 1940s, with control of the Kashmir region being the main point of contention. In the evening, 133 cardinals will begin voting to choose the 267th Pope of the Catholic Church. Well, nothing prevents the election from happening. Already in the first ballot, a vote like that has not happened in centuries. In the early afternoon, cardinals will enter the Sistine Chapel and swear an oath of secrecy on the Gospel. Additionally, cell phone service within the territory of the Vatican will be turned off to prevent anyone from the outside contacting the participants. When the last of the electors has taken the oath, a process of discussions and mediations will begin. If the vote doesn't yield a 2/3 majority needed to elect the new pope, the cardinals go back to their quarters in Casa Santa Marta for dinner. It is then and there, on the sidelines of the conclave, that important conversations among the cardinals take place and consensus begins to form around certain names. Although there is no way of knowing whether this will be a long or a short conclave, cardinals are aware that prolonging the proceedings could be seen as a sign of rifts and disagreements between highest-ranking officials of the Catholic Church. Friedrich Merz will be in Paris today for his first foreign trip as the German Chancellor, where he will meet French President Emmanuel Macron. Following his stop in France, Merz will travel to Poland. While in Warsaw, the new head of the German government is expected to meet with his Polish counterpart Donald Tusk. Before arriving in Warsaw, the German Chancellor will visit Paris, where he will hold discussions with the French President. As stated by Emmanuel Macron on social media, the two officials will make sure that the, I quote, Franco-German engine in combined decision-making is stronger than ever. After his visit at the Élysée Palace, Friedrich Merz will depart for the capital of Poland. Merz's visit to Warsaw reflects Poland's increasing importance in European politics due to its key role in rallying support for Ukraine. During Merz's stay in Poland, he will discuss adopting a tougher European migration policy with the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Their discussion comes shortly after the German incoming coalition agreed to reject asylum seekers at Germany's land borders. In Berlin, the new coalition has faced an unexpected roller coaster ride, with Chancellor Friedrich Merz unexpectedly falling short of a majority in the initial parliamentary vote of confidence back on Tuesday. It was only during the second round of voting that Merz managed to win the vote, with many commentators describing his victory as wobbly and raising fears that the coalition might be showing weakness even in its infancy.
The day in the German parliament started with optimism, expected to be a mere formality cementing the new coalition. Friedrich Merz was set to be officially voted in as the new chancellor. Then the shock hit.
Zum Bundeskanzler der Bundesrepublik Deutschland nicht gewählt.
Friedrich Merz fell 6 votes short of the 316 needed to become Chancellor, despite a coalition of 328 seats. With a two-thirds majority backing a second vote, intense political wrangling followed.
This is unprecedented on the federal level. And it's happening in a situation in which Merz is anyway starting his chancellorship under difficult circumstances.
Article 63 of Germany's constitution allowed for another round within 2 weeks, and after some twists, Merz secured 325 votes and clinched the chancellery. However, experts warn that the coalition's divisions have been laid bare.
Merz is heavily damaged. Also Klingbeil, by the way. It's not just the CDU and CSU that are damaged here, but also the SPD. The point is, we will never know who voted against Merz or didn't vote for him. The effect is that he is weakened domestically, that he is also weakened, and Germany is weakened in terms of its European partners.
Chancellor Merz may have stumbled out of the gate, but now faces the tough task of reassessing both his own ranks and his coalition. Experts suggest his plans could require major revisions moving forward.
It is a frustration with Merz giving up the debt brake, the planned debts, which will finance investments, including in security and defense infrastructure. Or perhaps it was the rebelling SPD against Merz's strong stance on migration, social security cuts.
Despite today's setback, Germany is set to have a new chancellor, with key trips to Paris and Warsaw lined up for Wednesday. But today's events have exposed a shaky start for the coalition. How Chancellor Merz will recover remains to be seen. Sascha Farbach, TVP World.
Germany cares about its neighbors, said Daniela Schwarze, an executive board member at the Bertelsmann Stiftung Foundation, referring to Friedrich Merz's plans for his tenure. On Wednesday, the freshly elected German Chancellor will visit both Warsaw and Paris for talks with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk and French President Emmanuel Macron.
I think he will stick to his plans, and those plans are very important, I think, from a Central and Eastern European perspective, with regards to bringing Germany forward in terms of economic competitiveness, in terms of defense, but also in terms of rebuilding closer ties with European friends and partners. And tomorrow, his first full day in office, he has said he would travel to Paris to see Emmanuel Macron, the French president, and he would also travel to Warsaw to meet with the Polish Prime Minister, Donald Tusk. And I think that combination has a strong signaling function that Germany cares about its neighbors. It wants to work with both more closely, invests early on into stronger bilateral relations, and then also maybe, we'll hear more about that tomorrow, whether he takes this from the bilateral relationship straight to the European level, either in a Weimar Triangle format, so Paris, Warsaw, Berlin, or even in an EU dimension that he emphasizes when he speaks tomorrow, how important it is to take certain initiatives in the European Union.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky congratulated newly elected Chancellor of Germany Friedrich Merz on successfully forming a new cabinet. In a video address, Zelensky said he is preparing for his first meeting with Merz, while at the same time noting that Germany is one of Ukraine's key allies.
I congratulate Friedrich Merz on being elected the new Chancellor of Germany. Germany is one of the key allies and a true leader in supporting Ukraine. This is especially evident in the area of air defense. The largest number of Patriot and IRIS-T systems provided by any single country has come from Germany. These platforms have saved thousands of lives. We are preparing our first talks with Chancellor Merz. We have opportunities to work together that can strengthen both our economies and enhance our shared security for decades to come. I look forward to our meeting, and I wish him every success in his new role.
Russia launched a missile and drone attack on the Ukrainian capital, killing 2 people and wounding 8 others. The strike came ahead of the start of Russia's Victory Day celebrations in Moscow, where 29 world leaders are expected to attend events organized by the Kremlin regime. Russian drone debris struck multiple residential buildings in 3 neighborhoods of Kiev. Emergency services in the Szewczeński district recovered the bodies of 2 people after a drone hit a 5-story residential building. At the same time, local officials in the Świętoszyński district said that 1 adult and 4 children were wounded in the aftermath of the strike. A drone also struck a multi-story building in the Dnipro district of Kiev, destroying 2 floors. An upcoming informal meeting of European Union's foreign ministers will take place in Warsaw at a pivotal time for the war in Ukraine, said Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski. He added that this upcoming event, commonly referred to as the Gymnich meeting, will be the most important foreign policy event during Poland's presidency of the Council of the EU. The meeting, an informal affair with foreign ministers of all EU member states in attendance, will take place on the 7th and the 8th of May in Warsaw. Top EU diplomat Kaja Kallas and UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy have also been invited to the meeting. The main topics expected to be discussed in Warsaw are the world security situation, as well as the European Union's cooperation with the US. The Gymnich format has been in use by the EU since 1974. It is an informal meeting of foreign ministers without the attendance of their assistants to promote frank exchanges of views, organized by the country presiding over the Council of the EU. The meeting's main objective is to help form a unified foreign policy front, later to be adopted by the rest of the European Union. The EU handed down a roadmap to get member states to kick their cheap Russian gas and oil habits by 2027, according to a roadmap handed down on Tuesday. The proposal has been hailed by Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk as well as Ukrainian ambassador to the European Union, Czeslaw, who are both confident the plan will slow Russia's war machine in Ukraine. Our EU correspondent Angela Skujins has more on this story from Brussels.
The European Commission has published a roadmap on Tuesday showing member states how they can get rid of Russian oil and gas by 2027. Now, a legal mechanism sits at the core of this proposal, a force majeure allowing those countries to opt out of these pricey contracts without having to pay hefty fines. The EU Commissioner for Energy, Dan Jorgensen, said the proposal will help support Ukraine as it battles another year of Russian invasion.
No more will we permit Russia to weaponize energy against us. No more will we allow our member states to be blackmailed. No more will we indirectly help fill up the war chest in Kremlin.
The move has been celebrated by leaders from across the continent, including Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who pointed out on social media.
We have it. Thanks to the actions of the Polish presidency, the European Commission has today published a roadmap to completely end all fuel imports from Russia to the EU.
The Ukrainian ambassador to the EU, Vsevolod Chensov, also told TVP World that he celebrates this plan as it will halt Russia as it uses these profits from energy to benefit on the battlefield.
Russia could have bought 2,400 F-35 if it had decided to use the money it earned from this energy trade since February 2022.
TVP World also spoke to the former Energy Commissioner Andrus Piebalgs, who said that despite pushback from certain member states such as Slovakia and Hungary, he expects broad support for this measure and for the EU to stop footing the bill that Russia brings on Ukraine through the attacks on that energy infrastructure.
The EU is all the time helping to restore power supply, medical supply in Ukraine, and that is quite not logical that you pay for the aggressor really to do damage and then repair the damage.
Now, the proposal requires support from the European Parliament and those member states in the European Council. We're also expecting a range of legislative files to be proposed to bolster this effort. Until then, we'll have to wait and see whether the EU can cook without Russian oil and gas. Angela Scoogens from Brussels for TVP World.
And that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and please stay with us here on TVP World.